Okay, if you're the guy, switch off now, because it just do it. Just press pause. Just stop it. Don't watch any more because it's going to get embarrassing. Okay, you continue at your own risk, please. Okay, we're going.
Not being able to speak is not the same as not speaking. You seem as if you like to talk. I like to let people talk who like to talk. It makes it easier to find out how full of shit they are.
What the hell did you just say?
You are the new student. Come closer.
You're listening to the Kung Fu Podcast presented by James Still.
Anybody who has some knowledge of Kung Fu can easily defeat you.
And Steve Newby.
Man, you come right out of a comic book.
If you flash him, even for an instant, a defiant eye, he'll pluck it out. And if you throw any American sass his way, he'll snap your back and your neck like they were twigs.
I don't give a shit about bad taste.
Right, so we're splitting up the section of this podcast, aren't we, for a reason? Why is this?
Yes.
Why is this?
Well, just because we've had some a response from an old friend, from an old student, which deserves a little bit of its own.
Yeah, but it wasn't a normal sort of everyday response, was it? This was quite a. This was quite
kind of response
you would,
it's kind of a response that you would get from a complete lunatic, and
yeah,
I think the irony is we've got to respond to it.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. We have to respond to it. It's only fair. We've always been open to criticism. We always are prepared to criticize as well.
Yeah.
I believe in honesty. I believe in the fact that if you're going to be if you're going to do martial arts, profess to do martial arts, then you better have something, to stand that martial arts up, and it doesn't matter whether it's a martial art that I like or that you like or that anyone likes. It's your martial art.
Yeah.
But if you're going to say, I do a martial art and I can do this and I can do that, then all you got to do, you stand by it. It's as simple as that. And we're open to our opinions. There are certain things you don't like Taekwondo. I don't like Taekwondo very much.
Oh, really?
But that doesn't mean to say I don't disrespect. I don't respect them. I do respect. There's some very, very good.
It's more. It's individuals that we kind of know that
you can relate to a lot of people.
Yeah,
and people who obviously they love their techniques and they like to. I don't know, they like to sort of promote their techniques and say, like, this is a scientific, valid reason why I do this. And if it is, then that's fantastic, great. But I just don't agree with it. That doesn't mean to say they don't have to, they don't have to agree with me disagreeing or whatever. We just agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And that's basically it, So when you talk to people about martial arts, it's like politics, isn't it? You're always going to have different politics. So,
we do an awful lot of criticizing of what we do, which I think is perhaps the most important thing. I think the reason why we started doing this podcast was obviously therapy for you, right? But we did want a genuine sort of debate about the state of martial arts, in particular Chinese martial arts, how they're perceived, how we can sort of move forward, and all that.
And we're critical of our own martial arts as well.
100%. I think we've been more critical about.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to say we're not critical about the martial art itself, because I totally believe in the martial art style, Lao Da. I do believe in it totally. What we're critical of is people's perception of it, or of the associations, or at least individuals within the association itself who might have a different opinion, and that's absolutely fine. Then you've got to have a forum where you can have critique, where you can have debate. If you have no debate, then you're not going to get anywhere. So we like debate, and we're famous around the world now for debate, and I'm prepared to argue the toss for anyone, but for my style.
But what it's worth saying is I don't believe we've ever criticized an individual in terms of we've ridiculed and
He called someone Bobby Davro.
Yeah, but that's Bobby Davro. That's like saying, oh, he looks like Bobby Davro. It doesn't mean anything. Do you know what I mean? That's true. Like, I'm not. It
wasn't meant as a personal criticism.
Exactly. It's just he looks like this guy.
It was just a comedy.
Yeah, but in terms of like the way we work, I'm not going to sort of actively go to slag people off. I don't believe in that at all. I believe in sort of attacking the critiquing and analysing the technical capability, right? Or looking at and things they say.
But that's what we're about. We're looking at the technical ability of someone. So we talked about one of my ex-students. Okay, we did a what's it called, a respond.
Video.
Because he called himself a master. So what we're critiquing is the fact that he called himself a master, and we're critiquing the fact that he's not. Yeah. We're commenting on the fact that, quite frankly and quite obviously, he's not. Yeah. Okay. And then we looked at our mate Jake.
Yeah,
Jake Mace is most definitely not a master. He's a complete pillock, but love him to death.
Yeah.
But he's just got different politics to us, and he's on a different planet. Because he's martial arts, he's just not martial arts. But he's welcome to get back to us and say, you know what? This is why I do this. This is why I do that, because this works. And then we can have that debate about whether it works or not until we're blue in the face. But that's what martial arts is all about. That's what I think. We love to talk about martial arts.
I think having a debate is preferable because, we're not living in the 1980s. This isn't dojo wars.
Well, 1970s that would have been.
Okay, all right. Well, there was actually a thing called dojo wars where in America they were burning down each other's dojos and stuff like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Crazy. But the point is with debate, like you said, with honest debate, you can agree to disagree, then go out and have a coffee, and everybody remains sort of amicable. Now, certain people we know for personal reasons or whatever, we kind of know that sort of bus has left, but we would always open up our forum for them to take part and put forward their case. And likewise, we would encourage these people that we talk about to, hey, if you want to criticize us, start your own podcast. That's fine. Okay, we're not in the business of wanting to shut you down or put words in your mouth. I think that's very important. We're as bitchy as we can be. We are biased about Lao, but
of course we are.
But I like to think that when we give our opinions out, they're based somewhat, with experience and science.
Yeah, unless we have guests who want to, blow their own trumpet, we got to blow ours. And so we're just protecting our style and commenting on our style too. And things that are not sort of the same as what we do, things we disagree with, we're obviously going to comment on those.
Yeah.
Often people send us letters and say, would you please critique my set in Lao? Okay, well, of course, we're qualified to critique in Lao, and they are thankful for it because they obviously can see the benefits of that. And we probably had a few letters, in the past saying that, and recently, obviously.
Yeah.
And in the early part of this podcast, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the thing is, it's about helping people to understand Lao better, or martial arts in general better. I don't want people going out and joining a martial art or joining an association that is full of crap, that is full of, really nasty people who are just there to make a buck or just there to destroy people or whatever.
Right.
I don't want that. And my ambition is to make sure that, is cut out as much as I can. We're never going to stop it. We're never going to stop people doing that. But I think today's critique, obviously, we've had some response from
to put it mildly. Now, I think we should start off with a sort of, we've done the preamble to this. Now let's go in. So, if you were listening to us last week, we did a critique on. It was an opinion piece, on my opinions on the Hungar style in the UK, and their students specific Hungar style, and their students honouring the Sigung, etc. And so we pretty much spoke about that for a good part of it, and I said some things, and I'm going to highlight what I said and be very specific about what I said in all of it. But before I do that, I'm going to start off by I want to play you all a video clip, okay? Because this whole thing revolves around one person, but really there's two, but one person who was the brunt of what we're going to talk about.
Today, I tell you, it's my student. You become a member of the Lao family. Okay? You're responsible. Okay? You uphold the martial virtue. Okay? You use the martial arts to protect the weak. Do not use it to bully. You should not use your martial art to hurt or bully anybody. You should use your martial art to protect the weak.
So what we just saw there was a ceremony. Okay, with two people.
A nice ceremony.
Hey, I'd say so. Yeah,
very nice ceremony.
We've talked about it, haven't we? And we've said sort of like the bowing thing. Don't really agree with it.
No, I don't agree like that.
But
no, there's a few things that we could talk about, but.
But you saw two.
We'll be polite.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, you saw two individuals there. Okay. Both of which, the second individual this is about mainly. Okay. The first individual coming to it in a bit. But I want you to remember, guys. So certain things were mentioned in that ceremony. Now, that was a ceremony about Mark Houghton, the head of the Hungar. The Lau Kar Lung Lineage Hungar Association accepting new disciples, to be his students, and they're doing this lovely ceremony in Hong Kong or whatever, which I'm sure is very meaningful to them, because let's face it, it sort of conjures up a lot of imagery of traditional martial arts practice and what sometimes people would consider to be, it's a genuine martial art. But such things were mentioned in that ceremony. So things like. Uphold martial virtue. Uphold martial virtue. That's a very important one. Okay, so I want you to remember that. Also, we use martial arts to protect the weak. Okay, do not use it to bully. Now, remember that. You should not use your martial art to hurt or bully anybody. You should use your martial art to protect the weak. I mean, these were things that were said to these people. As part of their initiation, as part of their acceptance in the ceremony, which is kind of interesting because we're going to talk about martial virtue and particularly one of these individuals and why our criticism of them in last week's podcast, where I did say things like, I believe it's disingenuine. Okay, in terms of the thing. I said,
put something on video. You're doing it for a reason, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not doing it. You're not.
Yeah. So I said, so like when you're looking at a ceremony, trying to honor, something, you put it on video, like you said, it's for a reason. You're putting it out there so that you come across as a person, whatever. But I said, I think it's disingenuine. You don't put on video. I'm such a good person and broadcast it to the world. That's one of the things I said. I also said, for me, it feels false and sort of staged. I mean, these are my quotes. This is what I said. And I also said they're trying to project to everybody that they're good people, you know. And I also mentioned, you know, I said, you know, I think you're fake. And I said, that's my personal opinion. Okay.
Yeah,
So all those things. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say that's because you know these people. It's because you trained with these people.
Yeah.
It's because you know what these people did to their previous association.
Yeah.
And to me, as their instructor
Yeah.
originally for 12 years, 15 years, and it seems so ironic, which is why I was smiling earlier, that someone could come across with the kind of things that they've said after what they did. So just let's remind the listener of what they actually did, or this particular person did. And remember, we've never named this person.
Never named this person.
There they are.
But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put up a picture. So right here, this is the person we're talking about. I've blurred out his identity, but please take note of the little logo on his T-shirt there, which says Leominster Police Boxing. Now, the police, that will come into it later on. Okay, so just bear in mind he teaches the police to box, but this is a very important thing. Now, anyway, so this person, I'm sitting on my computer Friday night, you know, just going through some files, just doing a bit of editing, etc. And I get bombarded by message after message after message from this person. And let me tell you, I was quite frankly shocked and appalled at this, because I mean, we've gone beyond the realm of critique and debate, and we've sort of gone into the world of just straight out, you know, this is online abuse, quite frankly. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out to you the entire conversation that was sent to me. Okay, on that,
and then we'll talk about the irony just before you do that.
Okay.
Let's just mention where they come from.
Yeah.
Okay, this person, he left this association, the one that we're in.
Yeah.
Okay, and he didn't just leave it. He didn't just say, you know what, Steve, I don't like you anymore. I'm going to leave. I'm just going to go. He didn't do that. What he did was he held secret meetings at his house, and we know this because we know people who went there who told us about this. And he convinced other people, other instructors, that they would be better off leaving with him.
Yeah.
Okay. When he did leave, all the people in his club, in the one particular club, left him because they wanted to stay with Laugar. They didn't want to go with him. So all the senior instructors just said, no, thank you. But by then, of course, he'd already done the damage. He'd told them. And I'll never know what he actually told them because I've never been told. He's never, you know, instead of coming out with all this ball that he's just sent to you, he could have said, you know what, I left because of this and because of that. And I would have been able to answer that criticism. I would have been able to, you know, give some kind of reference to it.
Yeah.
But of course, I never have done. And so I've been kind of vilified with his students for many years, and he seems to think that whoever he meets, obviously they're going to be on his side. And now going back a little bit, I'm not going to completely put the blame on him. Now this sounds stupid because we know how bad he's been, we know how stupid he's been, and we know how nasty he is. But he was coerced. Okay, he was coerced. And I remember one of his emails to me. Oh, sorry.
Is that the one where he listed his quals?
No, not his qualification. No, before this, a long time ago, some years ago, he goes, "You're greedy, you're reactive, not proactive." And what was the other one? Lazy. He said, "I'm lazy." So this is a person.
Didn't he say you were just a lorry driver as well?
Oh, he did at one stage, yeah, of course. I'll forgive him for that, because I was.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with lorry drivers. So the reason I was a lorry driver, by the way, is because I'd give him the clubs to run, and he couldn't run them. I ended up driving trucks again because he was so useless at it. Okay, simple as that. Okay, that's one of the things that a lot of them were. They just could not promote. They could not develop the clubs. I went from Scotland with 200 students taking gradings. The next time I went up there, 3 months after I'd left, 50. The next time after I left, 38. And the next time after I left, 19. Right? That's every 3 months. That's how it went down, just like that. From 200 people grading to 19 within 9 months.
Are you hijacking this thing about me?
No, I just want to fill in the background to this because when you see a person come back like this, the irony is he's forgotten what he actually did. He forgot that he is the vilifier, if you like. He vilifies us.
Yeah.
And then comes out with all this to type, angry at us for responding.
He was angry, all right.
And so all I'm doing is just sort of filling in the listeners, so we're giving the side that or the little history. Yeah. And of course, he succeeded in completely and utterly destroying an association and running with the students and fooling them. And then, of course, he thought he could do it and stay in the association, but of course he was effectively kicked out of the BKFA and stayed with his kickboxing association because it was those people that encouraged him to do what he did because they don't like senior instructors and they wanted to go under and basically oust the seniors out so they could run everyone for themselves. That's a really short version. So I'm sorry, I did hijack it.
No. I just think it's worth. Before I start reading out this, I just want everyone to understand that this guy is a representative of the Hungar style in the UK. Like he was
kicked out of the British Kung Fu Association.
Yeah, but where he is now is he's a representative of Mark Houghton. So he's under Mark Houghton's leadership, shall we say?
Well, I hope Mark sees this kind of thing.
Well, I hope so, because this is the standard of his disciples. After all that, uphold martial virtue and we'll bow and nicey, it means a lot. So this is where I stood. So Friday night about 11:30, I'm at the computer. I get bombarded with messages. First message, this is what comes up. What a load of shit, he says. Now, we have an automatic message reply that says, hi, thanks for contacting SGN Martial Arts. We'll reply to you as soon as we can. Now, he then proceeds. Come see us if you want to learn, he says. Sorry, I'm pissing myself thinking you knobheads can fight. We've got an issue with the grammar here, so I'll read it out as it's written, okay? You're a bunch of dickheads, okay? And this was just the beginning, everybody, and it gets better. How's tats? Okay. Newly bollocks. You know where I am, pricks.
I think does he refer to me, newly?
Newly. I'm not sure.
I think he refers to me, newly.
I think he meant to say newbie, but he spelt it newly. Newly bollocks.
Yeah.
You know where I am, pricks, he says. Canada, best place for you. Then, now.
It is. Thank you very much.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Then he says, James, you can't even reply to my messages, you lightweight little nobody. Ah, okay. So he sent me a message on my personal Facebook, and I'm like, I'm not going to answer you. I've got nothing to say. Okay, interesting. I won't answer you on Messenger, but I'll put my response on this. That's fine. Next one.
Well, effectively, you are answering his. You are answering him. It's
that's
only fair to answer
right now.
these things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And by the way, if anything refers to me, just give me an opportunity, and I'll maybe correct what he's trying to say or help him with his inquiries, shall we say?
Yeah. Well, so far we just got sort of this is the build up, Ye, what a bunch of pricks you are. That was the next one. Fantastic. Hopefully, you and your army of fuckles will come see me. 3 E's. Because when you open, I'm coming to see you. I'm coming to see you. So now,
do you think he's trying to speak like pidgin Chinese?
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, we move on. He then seems a bit apologetic. Sorry about the keyboard mistakes. I ain't like you, prick. Oh. Okay. Right. Now, next one. You want a war? You got it, he says. Get Grandad over from Canada. Now, that's a new one. That's a new one.
Yeah, I like
Grandad.
that. Yeah.
It's Grandad.
Has he got some thing against older people?
I don't know. Maybe ageist.
Is that an
Listen.
insult because I'm an older person?
Well, possibly. He says,
Okay.
He goes on, as you can see on the screen, guys, he'll leave you for shit. Laugar, ... He'll talk from his bed thinking he knows best. He's got you there. Because you do an awful lot of talking on your bed.
I do a lot of talking from my bed.
You talk on your bed.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, that's it, yeah. Anyway, you want to belittle people? Then on your head, be it. Yeah, so we're struggling with the grammar still, but he is from Leinster, so we can only accept him. We can only sort of get some accept him. He doesn't give a fuck about you, James. You dull idiot. Do you know? Maybe I never thought about this. Anyway,
No.
Then it gets interesting because he requests my address. He says, "Put your address up on here. I want to come see you." Okay. Right. You fucking little nobody. He goes on. Ye hurts, doesn't it, when somebody is prepared to test you? It cuts me deep, Shrek. It cuts me deep. You can sit behind your computer, prick. Ironically, he's sitting behind a computer doing this. So there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I apologize. Yeah.
He goes on. Newbie bollocks sat on his bed. What a fucking bollocks. That's what you are. Fucking bollocks. But, this tirade comes on. Is this going to draw out the bullshitty martial artists? Maybe. You say I'm only 14 miles down the road. I'll come see per you and you want. Again, he's missing out apostrophes now and then, but, like I said. Then he goes on to say, wanker. I'm trying my best to find you address. So he's really trying hard to find my address. Why do you think he wants my address, I wonder? I mean...
Does he owe you any money?
I don't know. I don't.
He owes me a lot of money.
Yeah. Well,
do you think he's trying to?
Do you think he wants to pay me to pay you? I don't know.
Maybe.
Please send it. Come on. You can't get to Canada to see Cockwobble. Now, I think he means Cockwomble, but he spelled it wobble, and I think that's what you are. No. Let's see. Unless he actually wants to go to Canada to watch his genitalia fizzle about in the cold mountain air. We don't know.
I don't know. I take it as a compliment.
Oh, there you go. So Cockwobble. That's you, right? He goes on. Haha. I'm just trying to find the emails of him, meaning you, slagging off Master Jeremy. So, okay. Haha. Guardian rubbish. Master Yao already said he wasn't worthy of the sash. We need to think the sash ain't worthy of anything. Ha ha ha. Now, what's he mean by that? What emails are these? I think you owe it to our listeners.
I really don't know any emails where I've slagged off Master Jeremy Yao. Master Jeremy, as he calls him.
Master Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean...
Do you think you could have written something in an email? Like, it was being a pain in the ass or whatever?
I don't know. It's easily possible that I could say sometimes something because we don't agree. You see, the problem that I've always had is I always speak my mind, and the difficulty I've got is I'm not an arse slicker. So the issue is that if I have a conversation with Master Yao, I'll state my case, and then Master Yao doesn't like to lose, so he always ends up. Stating his case, but that's nothing to stop me stating my case. The first argument I had with him was about the male kind of emphasis on a kickboxing black belt when my first one was a woman, and so on. So I could say, I don't doubt there may have been something where I've said, Master Yao said this, and I'm not sure about it. But I think the one thing you've got to take into account is if I've sent it to him, if he's got emails that I've sent to him, you know what? It's because I would have trusted him in it.
Right, I see.
And it would have been for his own good.
Okay.
So but no way. I mean, everybody knows anyway. And plus, okay, he did talk at length to Yao, and I was really annoyed at Master Yao at the time, as we've already stated many times. But since I've spoken to Master Yao, and Master Yao says, he knows he's made mistakes in the past. He said that on the email, and I can produce that email, Mr. Whatever your name is, okay, which we'll keep to ourselves just now. And so I can produce the emails that Master Yao has said, I don't like what's happened in the past, but you'll always be my student, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're ready now. Hey, there you go.
So, anyway.
Yeah.
Was that the question?
Just,
don't know. I don't know. It's quite possible.
Did you write an email, criticizing Master? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
It's 100% possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100% possible.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway.
Don't expect me to be a yes man. I'm going to say how it
definitely
is.
not a yes man. Okay, so it goes on. The tirade goes on. I hope this makes your next video podcast. People would be interested in Bullshit Steve Kung Fu. I think we've got quite a few people interested in Bullshit Steve Kung Fu, to be honest with you. I mean, we're going from South America to North America to Australia, across Europe. So he's right there.
Yeah.
He's right there.
Yeah, he is.
He goes on. He goes on. Anyhow, dickheads, I want to see you, or are you going to hide? Now, that's a tough one. Okay. Obviously, Master Steve is in hiding in Canada. Now, it's at this. You're hiding. You're on the line. You've gone to the mattresses in Canada. Right.
Yeah.
So it's at this point that I think, hey, listen, I will reply to this and try and ask him a sensible question amongst all this abuse, because let's face it, that's what it is. And at the time I was quite taken aback from it. Anyway, so I then asked him a question. I said,
just beforehand, can I just point out why I'm in Canada, or
well, we've had this conversation, I think. Can you do the abridged version?
Yeah. It's his fault.
There you go. That's the abridged version.
I thank him to the bottom of my heart. I really do. I thank him. The shit that he put me through, I decided I wanted a better life for my kids, and I could never trust anyone again.
Oh, well, see, and he still doesn't trust me, people. So there we go. Right. See, he didn't deny it. Anyway, so I said, my reply was, "Why do you want my address?" ? Because of course I'm now a bit concerned
curious.
about I'm curious. I'm a bit concerned about this kind of diatribe, and it seems pretty volatile and aggressive and all the rest of it. I simply want to. Yeah, I think I want to know why he wants my address. Anyway, he replies, "You've spoke about me on your podcast in a derogatory manner. Don't you think I need to defend myself? ? You want to slaff =G me off. I want to come see you. That makes sense, don't you think?" Now, it's worth saying that we have never, ever used this individual's name on a podcast. No. Not once.
Never. No.
Not once. So,
no.
Interesting. Okay.
I think his image has been there somewhere. Right?
I think it has, the image, but no names.
It's only if people know him. I mean,
if it's a public image on Facebook, then you can use our images. You have my permission.
Yeah,
you can do all sorts with it. And he goes on to say, "You've pissed a lot of people off. Better I come and see you now." Interesting. And I'll discuss the interpretation of threats after I've read all this, because I found out some definitions of different types of threats, which will be interesting. Anyway, he goes on. "The community is not just a few, you think, right? You have no martial virtue." He tells me I have no martial virtue. You have just been witness to the tirade that I was sent, But I have no martial virtue.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. The
Nor do
definition
I.
of martial virtue is,
Nor do I.
yeah.
Is being nice and speaking not speaking your mind, not, I mean, he's totally, he could have totally just said, hey man, this is why I did this is what I've done, and I don't care, whatever. It doesn't have to be attacked. Yeah. It doesn't have to be aggressive.
Definitely aggressive.
That's not the way of a martial artist.
No, absolutely not. Because, I mean, I read this, and I know for a fact that this guy absolutely idolizes Bruce Lee. He's got a tattoo on the back and all the rest of it. And I say this because it reminds me of the scene in Enter the Dragon where the guy's on the boat and he wants to fight Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee says, yeah, we'll go and have a fight, just get on the boat and I'll meet you on that island. So this guy, all aggressive and whatnot, gets on the boat, and of course Bruce Lee untethers it and he floats out. He's like, what are you doing? Bruce Lee, it's the art of fighting without fighting. Now, and it's interesting that I am simply doing nothing, and yet he is being the aggressor here. Like, I'm just simply receiving, I'm on permanent receive here with, I asked him one question.
Did I ever tell you, this is just breaking from it every so often, did I ever tell you about the piece of metal? He used to work at a factory. Before I took him on as an instructor and I took him as a student. I started teaching him, then I gave him, assistance in the class, then he got his own class and so on, and I gave him eventually some of my biggest classes, which is why he caused such a problem. Yeah. While he was working at the factory, he actually welded a piece of metal with SJN, on it, SJN Academy.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I think it was just SJN. Probably you couldn't spell Academy, I don't know. It's just like SJN in weld. He cut it out and piece of metal and gave it to me as a present, which was really nice of him. Nice. So he really did.
It's a hard thing to do weld properly. I mean, quite hard.
Yeah, no. Well, he cut it. It was a cutting tool, I guess, not welding. Right. It was cutting.
Right, okay.
He actually cut the words out with a acetylene torch. So
again,
very skillful.
A very skillful individual. So I don't know why he sort of reduces himself
from a factory.
From a factory, we're all.
And then he became an instructor, and now he's become a.
Well, I don't know. What does Marty McFly say? Asshole. I don't know. But anyway, right. We go on. It continues. You make a rod for your own back. I want to meet you again. With this constantly wants to meet me. So everybody listening to this now, why do you think someone wants to meet me? Interesting. Never mind me. There's a few that want to meet you, he says. So I wonder what the few people who want to meet me could want to do with me or to me. Interesting. I don't know. That's all speculation at this point. James, unfortunately, you're a little porn, P-O-R-N, as in porn star. You're a little pawn in newbie's game of nothing. He doesn't give a fuck about you. Yes, so you've got the chess piece pawn and then a porn star. So obviously, but it's Lampstonians. What can I say? They're not all the same, but just some are.
Well, they are. Kind of related.
We're kind of,
That's just a joke if anyone's listening.
Listen, it's 2020.
It's a joke.
It's 2020. Everyone's got the right to be offended. So, we're going to have loads of people from Leicester. Yeah. We love you.
Yeah.
Okay, so he goes on. Remember, I was listening to him moaning about you when you weren't paying him for Kidderminster and not doing his classes. He's a using bastard. You're such a bloody dullard. If people respected him, he'd still have loads of students and fans. So I think he meant he'd. But anyway,
can I defend that one?
Well, yeah. Let me just make a comment because it's about me. I think I was 24 at the time. I was still, a kid. I was still a kid. I was getting pissed off. I was doing a lot of teaching and not enough training. I had a bit of an attitude, I'd say, and I think you can attest to that. And I just, I took some extra money for fuel, and I perhaps didn't declare the receipts and whatnot, and and at the end of the day, I was wrong, and I apologise now. I'm sorry for that. You gave me a chance.
To him.
You gave me a chance, and I sort of took advantage of the situation. But I was pissed off at the time. You know, we've had our arguments, Steve, over the years.
Yeah.
But you know,
everybody has their arguments.
Everybody does.
It's how you solve them that matter.
Absolutely.
But he didn't solve his. What he did was he involved everybody in his to justify his own, means, and which is where we are today.
Right.
Can I defend myself against?
Go for it.
Kidderminster, is it?
Yeah.
So you were going to be paying? Was you paying me any money, Kidderminster, or something?
I think so.
Franchise or something.
I think I was just teaching the class. I think you were paying me.
Oh right.
wage.
So you weren't. You hadn't. Yeah. Okay. So I was paying you a wage, but with this guy, I actually was. He had the whole finance from the club. I'd given them the whole finance of the club. All I did within my association, which is why it was such a devastating blow when he did what he did, was because basically I was giving everybody the money. I was paying the association, paying for him, and keeping. With his club, I kept 15. Well, this was 3 clubs. I had £5 of each one. Guess who I had to pay? That £5. I paid Mastio £5. I paid £5 for each club, which was 2 clubs, plus 1 kickboxing club for the PKA, and I paid them £5. So the £15 I was getting off him, I was giving directly by standing order to, my instructors and obviously the association beneficiaries, if you like. So actually, I wasn't earning anything from this guy.
Well, what were you earning? £5? Yeah.
No, I wasn't earning anything. I was giving it as a franchise, in effect.
Right.
But so I'm just clarifying that.
Right.
I don't give a shit if people sort of go, because we're talking about many, many, many years ago.
Yeah,
so the figures
and
and so on are different. But the other thing is, of course, my business. And remember, those clubs were my business.
Yeah.
I gave them my business to run in return for that little franchise. Well, some of them paid the franchise, but this guy didn't, because he was one of my, closest students. And I would do the gradings, and I would do the courses for the seniors. That's where my money came from. That's how I earned.
Yeah.
And so I didn't actually earn anything from those clubs. But somehow, remember what I said? He called me greedy. And that was when I was earning my own money, and he was earning money from me, and then took all the clubs to earn all the money, including the gradings and so on. He called me lazy, and I was running 26 clubs in Scotland, plus I had, I don't know how many clubs down south, right? And he had, one of his own clubs, which I started for him. And then he had 2 clubs, which I started for him. And they were my biggest clubs and my earliest clubs when I first came down from Scotland. And where else was I? Proactive. I was reactive, not proactive. So instead of actually, I think reactive, I don't know what reactive means. I think it might have something to do with what he's...
Well, you react to the situation. You don't go forward.
You mean like what he's doing just now?
Oh, yeah. Pretty much.
No,
I mean, so, if we're nitpicking.
Yeah. So I wasn't I was proactive in effect, because I was actually building the organisation for 20 years, and so I don't think I was actually reactive. I think he's made a mistake.
Well, he also says you're a using bastard. Counts. He says you're a using bastard as well.
Because one thing I remember. Can I quote this?
Yeah, go on.
And a lot of students do this actually. You start with students and you say, look, I think you're good at what you do. I think you've got a capability. Would you like to help me teach in the class? And so on. That's the first instance when they start to learn to teach. You then start to push the sort of students towards them, making them feel that they're important, making that the assistant feels important, so that you give him some clarity and some ability and some recognition. And then you let him run the club when you're not there. And eventually you say, look, do you want to run this club? And you know what they say? They say, yeah, I'd absolutely love to run a club. And you always say to them, I'm going to pay you this, I'll pay you that. And then, you know what they say?
I don't want money. I do it for the love.
That's exactly that's what they say. They always say, I'm not interested in the money. I'm not interested in money. It's a funny thing, that, isn't it? When you build up some really big clubs and then suddenly they just take them. And then not only do they take them, but they coerce everybody else to do the same thing. And in doing so, did you think about me and my family and what would happen
No.
Nah, he didn't.
Nah. Well, it goes on.
So,
Would you like to hear what's next?
I'd love to hear it because it's such irony.
Yeah, well, but it's ironic, but it's also quite threatening. So if we look at this from a serious point of view as well, there are a lot of what I deem as underlying threats as well. So I think on
seriousness.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, we can we can talk about this in our familial sort of candid way, but really, what this does boil down to is a systemic problem with online abuse in the age of social media as well. So we are it's very easy to hide behind a keyboard and send out a diatribe and insults, etc. I think we put ourselves out there on camera. We're more than receptive to people to come and speak with us, and we will have a dialogue with people by all means. That's us. We're not hiding.
And we try to talk about techniques.
Yeah.
But it's when we see martial arts that don't look like that they've got any technical ability. That's when we're kind of critical of it, because I believe in martial arts that work. I don't believe in martial arts that don't. And if you think they do, then tell me how they work, and have that dialogue.
Right. So he goes on. Nobody like him because he's a user. That's you. You're a user. Stick with him for 10 views. I think he means like if I keep doing a podcast with you, we'll only get 10 views. I tell you, we'd be lucky if we get 10 views. I swear to God. I think we're up to maybe 3 at the moment. I don't know. Then he gets quite sort of sentimental. He goes, he had so much to give. That's you. Unfortunately, money rules his world, not love. Better off rotting in Canada, he says. Oh, sorry, Canada. I didn't spell it right. It's okay. It's all right. Okay. Breaks my heart to say that. Stuck up for him so much. But the coin was his master. Nobody's elastics. What? What's he mean? Nobody's elastics. I don't know. I mean...
does he remember what car I was driving when I was teaching him?
Probably not.
My car has always been 11 years old. 9 to 11 years old, my cars, right? I had a blue Peugeot the last time I saw him, I think, which is a blue Peugeot Estate, a blue Peugeot Estate, which was about 9 years old, I think,
right?
And a mortgage, and I don't remember receiving a great deal of money from anyone because they had it and the association had it and so on.
Yeah.
But, I don't have to defend that.
You
only have to look at my house now. Does it look like a mansion?
Not really.
I have to keep
it's the mountain view. It's the mountain view which sells.
Well, that's what you pay for, isn't it? That's what you pay for. You pay for the mountain. You pay for the views, don't you? That's what you do. But it's a rented house. So.
Well, he goes on. We can talk about real estate all day. But he goes on. I'm pissed off with you and him for running down other styles. Running down people in the style. I don't give a fuck about Laugar. I've moved on in the last 7 years. If you want a fight, I'm fucking up for it. If you don't, then shut up. Shut the fuck up. I'm 14 mile down the road. You want it? Then get from in. Behind the computer. Behind your computer, rather. Then he says, sorry, you've pissed me off.
He apologised.
You did apologise. Then he said, can't fucking type fast enough, he says. So, this is okay. We're going on. So, next thing he says, he wants to know. So what's happening? ? You letting me see you? Or you going to just slag off your own style? I think, to be fair, we do a lot of slagging off Lau. I think,
Yeah. Well, not Lau itself. I would never slag off the style, but the association
interpretations of it and etc.
Yeah, it's different people's interpretations of it. Yeah. I agree.
Next one. Come on, he says. It's a bit like Ricky Gervais, isn't it? Come on, you're hard. Right. You still hid behind the QE board, and then he corrects himself, keyboard. I don't know. Was he still hid behind the keyboard at this point? He's awfully angry. He's, this must be what they talk about martial virtue. This must be what it means.
That's the thing that he promised to uphold.
That's it. Using his martial arts, to protect the weak and not using it to bully people. You should not use your martial art to hurt anybody. So this must be what that ceremony was about at this time. He goes on. You wind me up so much, he says. Big enough to put up, ? Or are you going to shut up? If you don't let me know, I'll see you at your club at Barter Street Village Hall. Oh, okay. He wants to come down and do some training. That's fine. When you open. And then he finishes off by saying, I'm looking forward to the next podcast. So are we. And then I had a little typo. I did a full stop because I thought he'd finished. And he said, up to you. So, okay, with a emoji thumb. Interesting, to say the very least. Now, you've got to understand that in the context of this, it was sort of late Friday night, early Saturday morning. These were coming through. Obviously, that you can, sort of go through them, and the tone was very sort of aggressive. And the problem I had was, my wife was getting disturbed, and she was actually getting quite worried about this because she's thinking someone's going to turn up at the house, etc. I'm like, trying to calm her down, whatnot. So it's it doesn't just affect me. Like you by all means, throw out threats, whatever. I think my background and my life experience at this point, I'm not going to go into it, but I've certainly, done things and put myself in positions throughout my life where I no longer really, care about this,
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think he's a threat.
No,
he was never. He would never be a threat.
No,
he would never be a threat.
Listen, I can understand what you're saying there, but nevertheless, I've got my mentality is, I'm afraid I have to accept a threat is a threat.
Absolutely,
okay?
Absolutely. If someone makes a threat, I'm not saying that you don't take the threat seriously.
No.
I'm just saying that you have the capacity to deal with it. Particularly.
Well, absolutely.
With all your life experience and so on.
Well, that's true. But you see, with even though I've got sort of accumulated life experience doing different things, and I feel relatively comfortable in a sort of in a certain arena. I'm not the toughest nut, but I'm sure as hell not the weakest nut either.
Yeah,
but,
no one needs to be.
But the problem is, I don't think it's my place. I think when we're dealing with, threats to abuse, we have to do the right thing. So what I did is I actually reported it to the police. Okay, so which is kind of ironic because I showed you that picture at the start of him teaching the police boxing. So interesting enough. And I, so I had an extensive conversation with a police officer, and I believe he's been spoken to and told off, slap on the wrist. I'm not prepared to take it any further, but that is unless this behaviour persists.
It is ironic that. Sorry, I was going to say it is ironic that he takes absolutely no responsibility for how he got into that situation in the first place, why we criticize him, why we were in a position to critique him, why we have the right, and I specifically have the right to critique him, but such betrayal and greed and animosity is shown over the years. And absolutely. Then he goes to another organization after another organization after another organization and keeps on pleading virtue.
Or uphold martial virtue.
You've got to kind of think, what? Does this master in Hong Kong actually know what he's like?
I'm sure he doesn't. And I think Mark Houghton, I think when all is said and done, I think he definitely means well. I think he's got a job to do. He wants to hold on to his style. He wants to proliferate it going forward, which, we've got to commend anybody with that. We might disagree with them on a technical level. We might disagree with some of their students' practices because we know what they're like, but that's purely our opinion. Remember, this podcast isn't about us trying to, we're not trying to create a following. You must believe what we say. We're simply giving out our opinions, our versions of events. You're more than welcome to.
That's what podcasts are all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And likewise, these people are more than welcome to have their own podcast. But, it strikes me as certainly worrying. This is the kind of people who are being attracted to this organization and in many ways represent Mark Houghton's Hungar style in the UK. This is a prime example of one of those people who we saw bowing, promising all these things about, I'm going to protect.
Well, I hope they're all not like that, because that would be bad for Mark.
I don't think they are. I think there's a few bad eggs. I refuse to believe they're all like that. I think a lot of them just want to get on with it, which is fine. That's great. Like always, I think everything out there should be up for criticism, us included. But it's just very worrying that this person is a prolific. He's a martial art business owner. In Leominster, he's got a reputation for coaching people this and teaching people that. Of course, we know.
And then he comes out with that tirade.
Exactly, and threatening behaviour. Why did he want my address? What was he going to do with my address? We don't know. Just don't know. I was actually told by the police officer that there's about 4 different types of threats. There's a direct threat, an indirect threat, a veiled threat, and a conditional threat. And I'm like, well, okay. So and I'm getting confused because to me, I thought a threat was a threat, but obviously, I'm wrong. I'm not going to give you the definitions, but essentially, I think it was the threats that he was, issuing out to me were not of the serious kind. But this is where I get worried, because if it was, a single, woman on her own in a house, and this was the same, this sort of language was used, it would have probably got a different response. But like I said, this is very. Anyway, so just to finish off, the thing. I got a message from the police officer in this. He said, this individual said he was very angry because of the podcast and has no intentions of taking it further. So that's good to know. I'm glad he has no intentions of taking it further. You heard it here. He wanted me to assure you that he will not be coming to the house. Well, that's good. Or the club when we open later on this month. So, but like I said, I would appreciate if you didn't turn up. Quite frankly, I mean, look, we're not living in 1980s. This isn't a kung fu movie. We don't. Listen, you don't just fight because you disagree with someone or because someone has a critique. What, in fact, you need to do is do the smart thing. Okay, remember the art of fighting without fighting. Be Bruce Lee, not the guy on the boat drifting away. Practice what you preach. Talk to us. Find out. Give us an argument. Give us a reason. We're not out there to. Well, this is it. But he's got the option
can't give
to.
A reason.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is, he did such he went through such a betrayal and so on, and the amount you can imagine. I tried to find out. I asked him. I asked students. They wouldn't tell me what he'd said. I asked him because the last time I spoke to him personally was, I said to him, "Do you think I got a kind of feeling?" I said, "Do you think our relationship has suffered over the last few months?" And then he said yes. And then he starts coming out with stuff, and I'm immediately, taken aback because I'm thinking, do you know what? The last time we had a meeting, I put my arm around him, hugged him, took my family to meet him, and he told me how, I've been taking this money and that money. Did he forget that it was actually my business I was giving to him? Did he forget that it was my finance, my income that I was sharing with him?
This is what I mean. It's all about you now, isn't it? I get all these threats. Now it's about
me. Yeah.
No.
But no, it's an irony that the guy cannot recognize where he's come from and what he's done at the such a diabolical thing he did. And he didn't just do it himself. He actually coerced everyone. He had secret meetings in his house and everything, which we have said.
Yeah.
And he actually he plotted. It's like Guy Fawkes.
It is, isn't it?
He literally plotted against the organisation and the BKFA and my area of the BKFA, his own teacher for 12 years.
Yeah.
And then he coerced everyone else to do that. And I understand you got a letter from one of those people.
So the other person in the video at the start, when they're both bowing, we'll call him the Scottish contingent.
Because he coerced him to go with him, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. So this chap from Scotland, who is representing Hungar in Scotland, also got in contact with me, albeit very briefly in comparison. So I'm just chilling out today, and he sends me a message. He says, "Hi James, I understand you're still teaching in Hereford? ? I was under the impression you were in Canada with Newbie." So he's no longer Mr. Newbie or Steve, it's Newbie. So I replied back. I said, "Yeah, still around, bud?" And he replied, "Well, that's good to know. And I'm not your bud, you fucking cretin." Oh, sends shivers to my spine. So
he did send me stuff earlier, actually.
Right, did he? So isn't it interesting how we've got two, I call them husband and wife, let's face it. But it's interesting on these two.
He's his bitch. I always called him his bitch.
Yeah, well, let's face it, they are.
Because he just followed him like nobody's with his tail between his legs.
But isn't it interesting that sort of I get, a response from this guy who, had no reason to send me this message.
Obviously, they've been in contact, haven't they?
Obviously.
Together, yeah.
But again, we're talking about martial virtue. These two were at the start of the video proclaiming their allegiance to Mark Houghton. Their disciples now, uphold martial virtue, use martial arts to protect the weak, etc., etc. So I'll ask you, listeners, if that is what having martial virtue is and being a disciple of Mark Houghton, I mean, is that the right direction?
I don't think Mark would want to be associated with people like that.
I don't think so. I think he's a sensible chap. I think he just wants to do what he's done. I think, unfortunately, he's let an element.
Spent a lot of years doing what he's done. Master had a lot of respect for him when he lived in Birmingham,
right?
Because that's where he's from.
Yeah.
And then he went to Hong Kong to pursue a career in these Chinese movies, which he, did. And of course, he's very much into the Hong. He's always been into Hong Kong.
Oh yeah.
Good. Yeah. So I know of him. I don't know him. I know of him from when I was training in Birmingham, and Master had a lot of respect for him, I think.
Yeah.
But of course, these people who have obviously left Master and for some reason have no respect for Master either, have now proclaimed their respect for someone completely different who lives in China, who does a completely different style, and whatever they do, whatever they pursue is fine. But history is a wonderful thing. You can't eradicate it. There ain't no statues that you can pull down, is there?
Well, I don't know. This is 2020.
I'm sorry, we got no statues we can pull down. I wish we could. But there's no statues we can pull down. So unfortunately, this is written history. Yeah. This is related history. Everybody knows about this history. It's been well documented within this association.
I think looking at sort of what being a martial artist means, for me, it's obviously, you know, the love of what I do and the continued pursuance of understanding the science, etc. But it's also a very you've got to treat it, you know, carefully, and you've got to take account of yourself. Now, we're all adults here. Martial art isn't like in the movies, okay? It's not we'll have a fight and settle our differences, you know, all the rest of it. That's not the world we inhabit anymore, okay? And it shouldn't be. We should be able to disagree politely and, you know, argue semantics and theories rather than actually get physical. Save that for the competition arena, which is more than adequate.
Well, that kind of attitude, yes, yes. You have got to change because, be frank. I'm sorry to be frank with you. If someone's going to make a threat like that, I mean, they're not going to follow it up anyway. Because if I want to get my own back on someone, I'm not going to tell them.
Well,
simple as I'm not going to stick it in emails and say, "Where are you? I'm coming to get you."
Well, this is it. Unfortunately, in today's world, we do have a digital footprint. So, you know, maybe, you know, a little bit more subtlety next time. If you want to, you know, I'm not giving them a how-to on how to, you know, get me, but certainly, surely not letting me know you're coming would be sort of top of the list. I mean, you know, you know, when I was serving, it would have been very nice if the Taliban would have said, "By the way, we're going to hit you tonight." You know, it would have worked out nicely for us, but they didn't. So, you know, that's it. So look, you know, remember what Michael Corleone said in The Godfather Part 3: never hate your enemies. It affects your judgment. And guys, you know, I'm afraid, you know, you guys really have let yourselves down and let your side down. Guys, as I think it's worth saying as well, if you're ever sort of the victim of online abuse, contact the police. Go to them, all right? Don't take it upon yourself to, you know, this ain't the movies, you know, you ain't going to go in there, start swinging and, you know, make everything right, okay? Do the sensible thing, you know, report it, okay? If you feel intimidated, frightened, scared, you know, all the rest of it, do what's right. So, you know.
Or even if you don't, you got to think of your family. You can't protect themselves in the same way you might believe you can.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about making sure that everyone's safe.
Yeah, absolutely. What an interesting little sort of discussion we've had. But, you know, I'm afraid, you know, it's our podcast, it's our forum. You listen to it, that's on your head. Well, you don't. Remember, guys, you can always switch us off. That's the beauty of podcasts. So,
you will always have an opinion, and you will always have a side to go on. Yeah. And the most important thing is come with evidence. Absolutely. Just come with evidence. If you've got something to say about, you know, as this guy has said, come with evidence. Explain yourself, and talk candidly about it. And I'll be quite happy to listen to what you have to say. Yeah. And but it's very difficult to understand how someone can say, you know, oh, you know, he's money, and then they take all the money. And they take all their clothes and all that. Oh yeah. And they do it coerced by someone who is going to gain from that. Wow. So they're so stupid and ignorant and thick that they can actually listen to someone who is obviously going to gain from it. Yeah. And then they keep doing it, and then they wonder why they're the victim. They wonder why they're being abused. Wow. They wonder why they're being attacked. They wonder why they're being, you know, criticized.
So anyway, let's just finish by saying, you know, I'm sure these people aren't a representative of the entire Hungar sort of style in the UK. Let's hope not. And we wish them all the best. And you know.
Yes.
Happy day. Right, guys, thanks a lot for joining us on another episode of the Kung Fu Podcast. Hopefully we'll get back to talking about some Kung Fu first thing next week as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Well, you know, Are you going to say
I was just
goodbye?
going to say, well, I was just going to say, hopefully they will recognise and appreciate that we still haven't mentioned their names.
Well, there you go. See? There you go. Guys, take care of yourselves.
We're not going to do what they do.
No way. No way. Guys, take care of yourselves.
Take care of yourselves,
See
guys.
you now. Bye-bye.
Here I am from my hideout in Canada.
And me, fortified in Hereford. There's a knock on the door. I gotta go. See you. Bye-bye.
Concentrate on your enemy's weak points. The eyes, the throat, the knackers.
Hi guys, thanks so much for joining us on the Kung Fu Podcast. If you like that and you want to find out more about us, you can head over to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram or YouTube and find us under SJN Martial Arts. And also guys, this podcast is available on Podbean and iTunes. So, until next time, take care of yourselves and we'll see you again on the Kung Fu Podcast.
Karate punch is like an iron bar, whack. A Kung Fu punch is like an iron chain with an iron ball attached to the end and it go whang.
Can you break a log like that?
Don't know. Never been attacked by a tree.